We the people unite.
Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to We the People Unite. I'm Kim Page, and today we have August and Andrea, Keisha, Anitra, and Maureen. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
How's everybody doing this today? Today. Every day is a little different, but how are we doing today?
Well, I tell you this, in my neck of the woods in Indiana right now, today was the last day they said this month that we will be tomorrow. We had 43 degrees today, and they said tomorrow we will wake up at maybe negative 18 to 27 for the next 4 days, and expecting an inch and a half of ice and maybe some snow. So here we go.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
expecting power outages here.
Yes.
Are you? Oh,
Mhm.
that's not good. Well, we had an earthquake here yesterday in California.
No.
Where?
Yeah, a little one. It was centered in Indio. I think initially it was a 5.1.
Okay.
Hey, Jazzy. Yeah, not a big one, but it's a little. You're kind of wondering, is it going to stop?
Yeah.
Is
We've
it going to
been
get
there.
bigger?
I didn't even feel it. No, I didn't feel it.
Yeah, you wouldn't. We barely felt it.
Indio was like near San Bernardino, right?
It's inland. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's always interesting when we get a little shaker. So today we're going to talk about good trouble.
Okay, Momo D, that's my hubby Mike. He's on Anitra.
Yeah, I used to wonder how you were doing that, remember? I'm like,
Yeah.
Oh, he was wondering why I live here. Corn and kids. I'm born and raised. I'm a square dancing country girl. We say stuff like "Which you did you" and Slim Pickens. Young too? Yeah, sure. Young too.
One of the
Anitra,
best sitcoms, Parks and Recreation. If you haven't watched it, watch it.
and you say pop too. For
Pop.
some-
Yeah, we say pop. Go on, give me a pop. And when I go other places, they say, when I was out in the valley, they said, she's popping people again. Who's she popping? I said, I'll have a soda. They said, oh dear.
I love it. Jazzy called him Mr. Momo.
Mr. Momo. Yeah. Hi,
That's a good
Mr.
name.
Momo. Okay, so like I said, tonight we are going to talk about good trouble. So not chaos, not violence, not even performative outrage, which we see a lot. So good trouble is something very specific, and it's very American. And we all know that the phrase comes from John Lewis, a man who didn't just talk about democracy, he actually risked his life for it. As a young civil rights leader, John Lewis was beaten on the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma while peacefully marching for civil rights. He believed in nonviolence, not as passivity, but as a discipline and a moral strength. So later, as a member of Congress, he carried that same belief with him when he urged people to get into good trouble. And he was talking about nonviolent action that makes injustice visible. So action that applies pressure without becoming what it opposes. And that's something I'm big on and talk a lot about. And that matters, especially right now. So across Minnesota, we're seeing what good trouble looks like in real time. People are singing peacefully inside of a Target. Citizens are raising their voices outside of a hotel where federal agents are staying. I think they're singing out there too, right? And we're going to show a little clip of all this, but long, orderly return lines inside stores. So quiet, disciplined actions designed to interrupt business as usual without harming anyone. So this isn't disorder. This is civic pressure. And so Good Trouble isn't about tearing society down. It's about insisting that it lives up to its own values in public, with intention and without violence. So that's what I want to talk about tonight. So there's only one way to introduce Good Trouble, and that's with John Lewis himself.
I tasted the bitter fruits of racism, and I didn't like it. I didn't like seeing those signs. I didn't like when I went to the theater. All of us little black children had to go upstairs to the balcony, and all the little white children went downstairs to the first floor. I would come home and ask my mother, my father, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, why? They would say, that's the way it is. Don't get in the way, don't get in trouble. But one day in 1955, 15 years old in the 10th grade, I heard about Rosa Parks. I heard the words of Martin Luther King Jr. on old radio. The action of Rosa Parks, the words and leadership of Martin Luther King Jr. inspired me to find a way to get in the way. And I got in trouble, good trouble, necessary trouble. As a student in college, we studied the way of peace, the way of love, the way of nonviolence. We studied what Gandhi attempted to do in South Africa, what he accomplished in India. We studied Thoreau and civil disobedience. We studied the great religions of the world. And Andrew Island would tell you in book 1, March book 1, we start sitting in, black and white college students, black and white high school students. We sitting there in an orderly, peaceful, nonviolent fashion, waiting to be served. And someone would come up and spit on us. They'll put a lighted cigarette out in our hair or down our backs, pour hot water, hot coffee or hot chocolate on us, pull us off the lunch counter stools. We were orderly, peaceful. Many of us accepted nonviolence as a way of life, as a way of living. But we were charged with disorderly conduct, disturbing the peace. We got arrested. I went to jail the first time on February 27, 1960. Between 1960 and 1966, I was arrested and jailed 40 times for sitting in, for going on a freedom ride, marching for the right to vote, beaten at a Greyhound bus station in South Carolina, beaten at the Greyhound bus station in Montgomery, Alabama, and left bloody and unconscious. Beaten, having a concussion on that bridge in Selma, Alabama on March 7, 1965, a day that became known as Bloody Sunday. But I never became bitter or hostile, never gave up. I never gave in. I kept the faith, and during all these many years, I've tried to keep my eyes on the prize. March, book 1, tell a story of a group of people who stood up together, rested together, beaten together, and jailed together. Some of my friends didn't make it. They died. Today, this year, we celebrated, just a few weeks ago, the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington. Back in 1963, August 28, 1963, I was the youngest speaker to March on Washington. And out of the 10 people that spoke that day, I'm the only one still around. So as we write book 2 and book 3, we would tell the whole story, the complete story of a people of a struggle to make America different, to make America better, and create what we call one people, one family, one house. Because in America, we all live in the same house, the American house. And it doesn't matter whether we are black or white, Latino or Asian American or Native American. On this little planet, this little spaceship that we call Earth, we must learn to live together, as Dr. King would say, or we will perish as fools. Can I give up? Can I give in? Can I become bitter or hostile? We have to march on with hope, with faith, and with love.
Beautiful. Yeah. Those words ring very true right now. And Minnesota got the memo because Minnesota has been getting into a lot of good trouble. So let's hear a little bit of this. We won't watch the whole thing, but I thought this was great.
In Minnesota, because I think it is such a good example of how peaceful protest does not work, but nonviolent direct action does. I know I keep beating this drum, but I think too many people conflate peaceful demonstrations with nonviolent direct action. And too many people presume because your method of protest is nonviolent that it is somehow inept and weak and timid. Nonviolent does not mean peaceful. It should not be peaceful. It must be highly disruptive of the systems in order to be successful. Some examples of nonviolent protest direct action that we are seeing used on the regular: whistle brigades, musicians showing up with their drum sets and their brass band and playing outside of the hotels of ICE agents all night long. Not peaceful, not timid, not quiet, highly disruptive. Another fantastic example is yesterday in St. Paul, where a group of nonviolent protesters disrupted a church service in St. Paul. They were led by activist Nikema Levy-Armstrong. The story was reported on by independent journalist Georgia Fort, and Don Lemon was there interviewing as well. The pastor of that church works for ICE. And they came and they interrupted the church service. They filmed it. They put it all over the internet. What a fantastic way to non-violently disrupt the systems of power, make ICE uncomfortable, because ICE should not be allowed to be comfortable anywhere that they are, and also raise awareness about the fact that there are so many self-proclaimed Christians, including pastors, who are supporting human rights violations and ethnic cleansing, and they're profiting. They're profiting off of inflicting human suffering and injustice. It was a brilliant protest. Likewise, economic protests are another way that we can disrupt the system. Entirely nonviolent, very effective. And that's what's happening at Target stores today in Minnesota. Actually, it's been going on for a couple of days. There's a sit-in happening right now at multiple Target stores in Minnesota. But I want to draw your attention to a tactic called shop and return protesting. I want to show you the clip from Minnesota and then come back and talk about why this is such an important tactic to have in our arsenal of nonviolent direct actions and how it's actually successful. I had some people in my comments on Facebook earlier who were like, isn't this performative? But let me show you the clip first, and then we'll respond to that criticism and go into a little bit more detail.
I want people to see this live video. We are at the Target in Edina. We've got to have about 70 people in line here. Everybody bought salt and they're returning it. Why? Because we are asking that Target step up as a corporation of moral courage in this critical moment in our country. ICE is leveraging Target's silence. They are abducting Target employees. They are staging in Target parking lots. They are going into Target stores and using it as propaganda opportunities. We are asking Target, whose whole brand has been built on serving the communities in which they are, to step up, speak out, use the corporate power that they have because we know that's the only thing that they listen to.
Thank you, Julie Rasmussen, for posting that on Facebook Live. For the rest of y'all, if you're not familiar with this form of protest, you go buy one expensive item, a paint scraper at Home Depot, or a container of salt, because we're melting ice, a container of salt at Target. And you have dozens and dozens and dozens of people do this. And then you all get in line and you return everything. You gum up the works. You slow everything down to a crawl. And also you have this huge visible line of people in the store so that other people who are coming and patronizing this business that is allowing ICE to come into their stores and abduct people, that has canceled their DEI policy, that has essentially been a collaborator with fascism this entire time. Anybody who's still shopping at Target, okay. But if they are, they now see dozens and dozens of people lined up and they're like, what's going on? It's a chance for conversation. It's a chance to open that door and enlighten people about the reality of the situation. But also, Julie filmed it and posted it on the internet. So when I got somebody in my comments on Facebook,
Let's stop right there. I'm going to continue with it a little bit, but let's open the conversation. Since we watched 2 videos, we saw John Lewis again, what he's talking about, and we're seeing it demonstrated in one way. What do you guys think about this method?
I just want to chime in on this. First of all, they don't listen. We told you last year, stop shopping at Target. So if you're not shopping there, your ass can't get picked up. Stop shopping at Target. And even if you are shopping at Target, I'm loving that method. Take
I
it
think
back.
it's inventive. I think it's a good way to do it. There's not a daggum thing they can do about it. That's the other thing, and it's effective. Everything's effective. Anything disruption, any kind of thing like that, I love it. And as far as what was I trying to say? As my girl that was on the video, she was born and raised in the same hometown I'm in right now, so she's smart. I just want to put that out there.
She is. Anybody else?
Yeah, they were doing the same thing at Home Depot. People would buy like a 70-cent ice scraper and then get in line and return it. I love it. I think it's wonderful. Wonderful. I've been get into good trouble.
Trouble.
It warms my heart to see the demographic of people who are doing the returns, because they're people who you wouldn't necessarily expect to be protesters or resistors. When I say you, I mean like stupid ass ICE agents. I don't think they would necessarily target that demographic as the people who would be protesters on the face of it. So them being anti the archetype is perfect. It makes them the perfect people to be doing this. So I love to see it.
Yes. Yeah. And as in any movement, if you know the history of the civil rights movement, that didn't happen overnight. Didn't happen in a day. The Montgomery boycott, bus boycott, lasted for over a year. You know, so I know that people get really impatient, like we need something to happen now. We need to happen now. But what they have to understand is that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
100%.
It's a journey.
Yes.
And TV makes us think that everything is solved so fast, whether it's a crime or anything. And I have to remind myself sometimes that, hey, these have, if you follow laws, you follow different things and protocols, it takes a little longer, but to be effective, but ultimately, as we see.
Yeah.
Our money speaks. So I'm going to continue playing this. One of the things that I think her commenters brought up, her viewers, was that doesn't this punish the employees?
No.
They're going to be there anyway.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're getting paid by the hour.
Make it go faster when you're busy.
So let's continue.
Facebook, who was like, isn't this just performative? I mean, I get it, but this is kind of silly. It feels highly performative and really just punishes the workers. This is a classic corporate talking point, by the way, that these kind of actions just punish the employees. No. The corporation is punishing their employees. The corporation took away their DEI policy. Target is actively harming their employees on a daily basis. So don't give me that. But also, yeah, of course it's performative. Of course it's performative. So many nonviolent direct actions and acts of civil disobedience, those are a performance. And the sooner we understand that we are doing these actions, not because it's just like something that makes us feel righteous and good, but because we are trying to create mass public opposition. We are trying to inform and educate and activate other people while at the same time disrupting the systems or the businesses in power. It's going to be a performance. It should be filmed. It should be shared widely. We are engaging in these actions, understanding that there is a viewer and we are trying to persuade them. The act of 70 plus people at Target returning items is not going to get Target CEO to meet with these protesters. What gets them to do that is those protesters sharing that footage to thousands and thousands and thousands of people who get pissed off, become aware of what Target is doing, start boycotting Target, and give them feedback all over their social media. It's about building a public pressure campaign. This shop and return strategy of protest has been used for decades and decades. It's very, very effective. Anytime we're engaging in these actions, we have to understand that it's a production, it's a performance, right? We have to understand how to maximize our impact. In permaculture, we call that stacking functions. It's about gumming up the works at the business itself, being disruptive in terms of their operations. It's about being present in the store to educate people. It's about filming it and putting it out to the public so that public opposition will build, so that the corporation feels enough pressure to meet with organizers and to change their policies, to change their actions.
We are here at the Target in West St. Paul, and a group of people came to sing and to speak out, asking Target Corporation to stand up to the terror that has descended by ICE agents here in Minnesota. Target has been collaborating with ICE, letting them use their parking lots and not saying anything when their staff has been detained by ICE, both immigrant and citizen staff members, not saying anything when small children have been abandoned in Target's parking lot when their parents were detained by ICE. We need Target to stand up. We need Target to speak out. The horrors that we are seeing every day on the streets of the Twin Cities must stop, and we need major companies like Target to speak out. Try to do the right thing. Try to do the right thing. Do the right thing. Try to do the right thing. Bring the families home. Bring the families home. Bring the families home. Abolish ICE. Abolish ICE. Are ready. We are one.
So that protest in St. Paul just wrapped up. And I want to say a couple of things about it. When we look at direct action, when we look at protest, not everybody can be in the streets. Not everybody can be on the front lines defending their immigrant neighbors against ICE. Not everybody can risk being brutalized by ICE, being abducted. But we all have places that we can actively plug in and resist. Events like this are far more accessible. It is a PR nightmare for Target to bring in police or other law enforcement, legitimate or not, and have them rough up grandmas and grandpas and kids and, homemakers in the middle of their store. So it's a much lower risk action. You might get arrested though. You might get arrested. So you might want to be prepared for that. And as you noticed at the beginning with all of the salt return protesters, a lot of them were older. These are direct actions that so many more people can be involved in. We have to think about a diversity of tactics and how those tactics are accessible to a diversity of people, and that allows more people to be involved in resistance. That allows us to have greater collective power. And wrapping back around to how these are not purely performative, we are looking to disrupt the system and to make change. As a result of these protests over the last couple of days, Isaiah.org has secured a meeting with Target CEO. If you're not familiar with Isaiah.org, go follow them on Instagram. They are a multiracial interfaith group that is comprised of barbershops and childcare centers and other organizations. The purpose of these disruptive actions is to get those pillars of support to topple, to get these corporations to no longer comply with the regime, to no longer support ICE. Mad props to the folks at St. Paul. Great work. Keep it up.
Absolutely. I love that. Was a little catchy tune there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was getting into it. Without doing the Cabbage Patch. You know what I found was interesting? This is just a side point before we get into the meat of that. I was overhearing, not talking, at a couple of restaurants over the weekend, and they were both ran by a particular demographic, and every employee was that same demographic. And I heard these two gentlemen speaking about it, and they were like, "Well, don't they have to have different people?" I said, "When you cancel DEI, you cancel DEI." And that's what I said. And they thought about it, and they never thought about that. They don't have to diversify it because it works for them just as well as it works for you. So people don't think about those things, which is interesting.
I agree, Jazzy. It's a foot tapper. It's a head bopper. It's a little catchy tune. I love it. And true, Anitra. Yes. Anybody else just about that particular form of protest? How can we expand on that?
Go anywhere and everywhere that you can disrupt peacefully. Shut it all down. Like hubby said, our money is our power. And if we can be disruptive, withhold our money and be disruptive, like the...
Where's this squeaking coming?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's Dexter playing with his toy.
I was like, what in the world? I'm trying to play it off.
I'm like, I don't think it's anything on my side. Oh, that's funny. That's hilarious.
I was thinking if you go to like a Burger King or McDonald's or Taco Bell and then say you didn't like your food and take it back, that would be real funny.
It seems to be obviously more effective when there's a big group, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Everybody from your church or your we can do it in New York.
That's where I was going a little bit with that. How do we get groups of people together so that we can start getting into some good
It's a good idea.
Yeah. So I was thinking about that. Now, the next step in this, I set it up to share and then I stopped it. Okay. So evidently unions are starting to get involved. Have you heard about this?
No.
Unions.
I did. Yeah.
Yes. So evidently there's an ICE out of Minnesota day. I think this is the 21st. So it's this Friday, the 23rd is a big day. So ICE out of Minnesota day. If we can support, even though we don't live in Minnesota, we can support some of the groups that are involved in this. So Minnesota's unions, progressive faith leaders, community activists are calling for a general strike on Friday, encouraging Minnesotans to stay home from work, school, refrain from shopping. We've talked about these before, right? General boycotts. Suspensions of normal orders of business to protest the presence of federal immigration agents in Minnesota. So Friday is ICE out of Minnesota, Day of Truth and Freedom, a statewide pause on daily activity to stand together against the actions of the federal government in the state of Minnesota. Demonstrators will march and rally in downtown Minneapolis Friday. Too bad we can't go support, right? That would be wonderful. Citing the killing of Renee Good by federal agent Jonathan Ross, which they are not pursuing an investigation on. They have completely covered this whole thing up. The ICE Out Day organizers say the general strike is intended to be a day of non-violent reflection. It is time to suspend the normal order of business to demand immediate cessation of ICE actions, accountability for federal agents who have caused loss of life and abuse of our residents. And it goes on about that. So Minneapolis public schools will have no school Friday for teacher record keeping day. So they're using that according to the school districts. The Nurses Association, which represents 22,000 nurses and other healthcare professionals, said it supports the general strike Friday, but it's encouraging nurses to keep working since their union contract has no strike provisions. Healthcare, I agree, is a bit different, right? We have to be careful, walk a fine line there. Service Employees International Union, which represents nearly 2 million workers across the country, said many of its members across the country will protest in solidarity with Minnesota. So when we look at Minneapolis, the violence, the cruelty that's being brought by this federal government against working people, it is now more than ever that we have to stand together regardless of our differences. So Minnesota is more good trouble coming that way. And there was a clip on that from the same gal, but I'm going to skip that since I did the
tonight. Their commissioner or whatever of prisons was on there tonight, and he was on the nightly news, and he was saying, I don't know where this thing is where we're not compliant. We turned 84 people over to them that was questionable as far as their legality. He said, we turned them over. We're doing everything they want us to do. So all this stuff about we have to send more troops in because they're being non-cooperative, he said, there's just no truth to it. And once again,
well, we know they lie. We know they lie. Linda, I'm curious. I want to put that back up. I want to respond to Linda's post about the women's march from 50.
I had a question on the same thing because they were doing the walkout here at 2:00 yesterday, but I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, did anyone hear how that went?
No, I haven't heard anything about that.
Of course, the media won't cover it.
No,
right?
No.
But that's something I'm remiss in that. That's something we should always kind of follow up on and understand what's going on. Any of these marches like that. So.
While we can't be in Minnesota, I mean, unless you want to fly there on Friday, we can. They are focusing the boycott on 5 corporations: Target, Home Depot, Hilton, Enterprise, and Delta. So they recommend protesting at your local of any of those corporations. So your local Hilton, Home Depot, Target, Enterprise, and then obviously Delta is nationwide.
Not Enterprise.
They're renting cars to ICE.
Wrapped it up. Wrap it up, as they say, the wrap car. Wrap it up.
Yeah. The other thing that I don't know her name who runs that channel, but she was talking about how there's a lot of small businesses who are allowing ICE to use their parking lots as a staging area. And those are definitely the people that we need to highlight. Mm-hmm. And, shame, 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 shame on you. Protesting we're in the process of canceling our Hilton honor. Yeah. So we can definitely boycott by not shopping.
Yeah.
And we already do that with Target. I have to admit, I did have to go to Target to buy my grandbaby formula. But that's because I couldn't.
You gotta do what you gotta do. But it was in a moment of existential angst. So you are.
I know. But that was after I spent $75 per can online to try to get it. It's like, whoa, I can't continue. That's double the price almost.
Oh. So it's hard to. I can't imagine what those stores are thinking about that allow ICE to go in their parking lots. I mean, that is just.
Well, they soft in the middle. Some people have, again, I'm going to say this is my thing. They have wishbones where backbones are required. Miss Maureen, and they're not ever gonna get it. They just wish. I'm scared. I don't know if it's gonna look like all this and all this soft in the middle, mediocre 6, 7 type business is over. We're not waiting.
Yeah.
I learned how it means 6, 7.
So I wanted to share this too. This is from Governor Tim Walz. Mr. President, Minnesota invites you to see our values in action. Come see our communities from all walks of life, or how our communities from all walks of life are working together, and how the spirit of this state refuses to be defined by division or fear. I invite you to join me and others in our community to help restore calm and order and reaffirm that true public safety comes from shared purpose, trust, and respect. But let me be absolutely clear. The state of Minnesota will not be drawn into political theater. This Justice Department investigation, sparked by calls for accountability in the face of violence, chaos, and the killing of Renee Good, does not seek justice. It is a partisan distraction. Minnesotans are more concerned with safety and peace rather than with baseless legal tactics aimed at intimidating public servants standing shoulder to shoulder with their community. The Justice Department is going after Waltz and the mayor, right? My focus has always been protecting the people of this state, not protecting myself. Families are scared. Kids are afraid to go to school. Small businesses are hurting. A mother is dead, and the people responsible have yet to be held accountable. That's where the energy of the federal government should be directed, toward restoring trust, accountability, and real law and order, not political retaliation. Minnesota will not be intimidated into silence, and neither will I. Love the letter. Do you think it had any impact at all?
No.
No.
Every little bit you got to try, but
yeah. So let's hear from people, more and more people. I mean, Buttigieg, comes out a lot, says things, but he makes it clear about what we have to do.
President's behavior today toward Norway, Denmark, and Greenland is something to take seriously, or whether it's a deflection from the president's failure to help with America's domestic economic problems here at home. The true answer is that it's both. So this is going to be just another one of those weeks when we've got to deal with more than one thing at a time. Everyone on the news right now is talking about Greenland, and I will come to that in a minute. But first, we've got to be clear about something playing out right here at home, which is that millions of Americans' health premiums have shot up this month. And it doesn't have to be this way. A few days ago, the House actually voted to extend the tax credits to keep premiums lower. That was led by Democrats, but it passed the Republican House because some Republicans joined in after feeling enormous political pressure from all of us. So, are your premiums going to come down now? Well, no, not until the Senate passes it too. And right now, Senate Republicans are refusing. But this is very important to understand. With one phone call, one tweet, Donald Trump could change that. If he tells the Senate Republicans to make it happen, they would do that. But he's not. So let's make it very clear that Donald Trump is standing between millions of Americans and lower health insurance premiums, which is why so many people right now are deciding they might have to drop insurance altogether just to make mortgage or rent. Now, again, on the House side, pressure worked. So do not let up. Don't let up on Senate Republicans, and don't let up on the White House that those Senate Republicans tend to obey. So that's one thing on the home front. But meanwhile, the president sent an unhinged message to Norway, like a take away the car keys level of crazy message. Basically saying because The Norwegian government didn't give him the Nobel Peace Prize. The Danish government needs to give him Greenland, or else he will punish all of Europe. This isn't just crazy and embarrassing. It is dangerous. These are our allies. I remember serving side by side with troops from Denmark in Afghanistan. These alliances have kept us safe for generations. Tearing them up makes all of us less safe here at home. And when the US is even vaguely threatening its own allies, that's a destabilizing event for the entire Western world. Then, of course, we're facing the continued presence of federal agents on American streets in places like Minneapolis. The courts recently made it clear that many forms of ICE retaliation against protesters are against the law. And because that would violate American law, the courts are limiting what they can do going forward. But obviously, there are still enormous concerns about how they're actually behaving on the ground. And these legal findings prove that this has nothing to do with law and order. So I'm very worried that further deployments may cause even more disorder and endanger even more American neighborhoods. It's another clear example of how this White House is avoiding solving problems like health insurance and electricity prices by instead using threats and division and chaos. So what can any of us do about it, especially with November still feeling like it's a long way off? Let me stress one more time that political pressure can work. From gerrymandering in Indiana to the House vote on healthcare, we have seen that you can force the people in charge of this country to change their behavior. You can change the votes of Republican elected officials at least some of the time. And you can show everyone that Americans do not support what's going on right now. But that requires all of us to keep raising our voice, whether it's online or in the streets. It requires all of us to stay organized and vocal so that there can be no mistake where you stand. And getting involved politically right now matters more than ever too. We do not have to accept the things that are going on right now, which means it is up to us to change them.
Means we need to get into some good trouble.
He's right. And in Indiana, I'm so very, once again, I'll say I'm proud of them because I thought they would just comply, but they gave some pushback and they really tried. And so I'm gonna give a shout out to Indiana now if we can get the rest of it right. But it's just, I forget what I was gonna say. But anyway, we all gotta do our part, and that's one way to do it. And that's all I was gonna say.
Jazz, can you put that up? Jazzy, we ask that question every single day. Why do people in Congress, especially Republicans, act like they won't face dangerous backlash for further supporting Trump and his policies? Like, do they realize that they can be touched by upset people? Like, they do realize. Yeah, I mean, they do realize.
But one demon is bigger, as the demon that you know, the demon that you're close to. It's just like today, he backed up on the whole thing with Greenland, or Iceland, as he called it, and said all this stuff. But he also started to realize, well, we don't need them for shit. Yeah, we do. Insulin, 90% of it made in by the Dutch. Ozempic, chunky folks. You want to lose weight and be sexy? Don't mess with the Dutch. And so he realizes that, there's some things that you just can't fight and people will fight back, but he thinks he's got this unchecked power. So they think they've got unchecked loyalty. But the chicken's going to come home to roost and they're going to be looking all around.
And the one thing I wanted to say was I was happy to hear that, and I hope I'm pronouncing it properly, Avillo Airlines is no longer flying deportation flights for ICE due to political pressures, protests, and insufficient revenues. So that was good news. That's good trouble.
That's right.
Yes. So the pressure's working, and the whole thing around good trouble is not being passive, but not being violent, right?
Yeah,
and that's the message I
not
love.
being
'Cause-
aggressive. You just kind of just like, hey, I'm here. This is what we doing. You don't like it, you're gonna have to move me, and I'm not gonna fight you. I'm gonna make you drag me.
Yeah.
I drop all my weight out though. Try to carry me. You gonna need a team. I ain't that big, but you still gonna need 2 people.
Absolutely.
I'm hard to kidnap. You got to plan ahead.
But that's what they say. Just
I
sit
can't with you.
down. Make them carry you, you know? Just
I ain't
sit.
no swoop and grab. You can't just open the van door and reach out. You gonna need a couple. You gonna need Tito and Tony to come with you.
Oh God.
I'm sorry, now I'm crazy.
Yeah. So Pete was talking about a few different things, right? He was talking about insurance, which Linda, I don't know if you're still out there. Can I share a little bit of what you sent us in that text about your insurance costs? And then he talked about Greenland. That whole bizarre.
Very bizarre.
I mean, what the hell? I mean, he's not.
It looked like he robbing Santa's village. That's what it looked like. I feel like the Grinch just stole Santa's village.
How do you say I'm an immature man-child without saying I'm an immature man-child? You know, say, Maureen, you're muted, dear. I know you.
So I'm doing that because I did not mute myself again. No, he's a deranged child. He's dangerous, extremely dangerous. And that's where we don't understand the Republicans or whomever they are right now. Get some, you know what, and bring.
Cojones.
Thank you. Yes. I don't understand it. What world am I? I do understand it. It's Trump, and he's being allowed to get away with it. And why? Why?
Well, right now they're saying there's 17 plus Republicans, including Lindsey Graham and Marco Rubio, they're not standing with him for Greenland. And so they might have enough people with the 17 Republicans and the Democrats to stop Trump.
There's no
My
way.
thing is, though, he's not. Go ahead, Keisha.
There's no way that Lady Graham is going to go against Trump.
Well,
No.
this is the reporting right now. It's all over the news.
I
I'm just
understand the report, but I'm just saying, in actuality, I do not
Say it
believe that
again.
Lady Graham is
Say it
going
again,
to
Keisha. Just say it again. What's his name? Lady Graham. Come on.
Lady Graham.
Lady Graham.
Lady
Lady
Graham.
Graham so far up Trump's butt, his head is peeking out his belly button.
well, they're saying Mitch McConnell also. So they
Oh,
said
please.
so I was getting phone calls today.
This is April Fool's.
And Rubio's not going to do that. That
Little
Marco.
No.
weak.
No. And
We
here's
are
the
not
thing.
being punked.
Mitch McConnell had the power to shut all this down. None of this had to happen. But his own evil ambition stopped him from doing what he knew was the right thing to do, which was convict him when they impeached him the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
thank you. I'm trying to shoot the messenger.
No, I don't want to hear nothing about it. None about it. 666, demon, Damien, omen. No. I don't want
I
to hear
rebuke it
anything
in the
about
name
it.
of Jesus.
You heard
I
it
rebuke
here
that.
first.
I can't with y'all.
So before we, I just want to do one more on good trouble, because there are some citizens who are talking about not good trouble, but embracing the Second Amendment instead. So we'll do that before we go to August on the Move. And then I was going to talk about Greenland today, but we'll push that to Friday because there's a lot. His speech.
Ooh, I gotta go to the bathroom.
There's two.
You can't drink it, so this song gonna be so bad.
TMI, Anitra, TMI.
Gotta go.
Okay.
Gotta go.
You go, girl. Okay, we're just gonna play a little bit of this, and then we'll shift.
And using euphemisms in this video, but I'm going to be discussing a subject that this platform does not particularly like us talking about. Now, I make no secret of the fact that I have a strong commitment to nonviolence. I not only believe, but I have looked at the evidence and understand that nonviolence is not only a moral and just position, it is a strategic one as well. People get real mad at me for having a commitment to nonviolent discipline. I have an awful lot of videos over on my YouTube where I discuss some of the core principles of nonviolence as well as what nonviolent direct action looks like. And I think too many people believe that nonviolence is the same thing as peaceful protest, which I've been trying to talk about a lot. Nonviolence is not peaceful. If nonviolent direct action is going to be successful, it must be highly disruptive. Likewise, I don't personally believe that destruction of property is violence. One of the criticisms that I tend to get when I discuss successful nonviolent revolutionary movements throughout history is that they often involve like burning shit down, smashing shit. And my personal belief is that destruction of property is not violence. And that opinion is shared by an awful lot of people around the world and an awful lot of cultures. But as they discuss in the book, This is an Uprising, it really doesn't actually matter that much what you personally think. It matters what the culture perceives as violence versus nonviolence. And so you can be like, I'm going to break this window and that's not violence because I'm not brutalizing somebody's body. I'm not depriving somebody of their rights. I'm not participating in systemic racism. Therefore, what I'm doing is not violent, right? Like, it doesn't matter if the public perception is that destruction of property is violence, then it's not going to be a strategic move. It's going to backfire on you. Because so much of successful defense against fascism is getting public opinion on your side and turning public opinion against the regime. And because the United States is a capitalistic hellscape, we've all been indoctrinated to believe that destruction of property equals violence. After all, it's what cops do. They defend property and they violate us. But you know what else we're indoctrinated to believe in the United States? That these are a core part of our identity and what keeps us safe. There are more pew-pews than there are human beings in the United States. You can't go anywhere in Oregon, especially rural Oregon, without seeing those Oregonian window stickers. People say, stay strapped, stay safe, mamas. Right. This culture is really, really big. And it's not really actually a right versus left. We know that there's far more energy, momentum, commitment to common sense firearms reform from the political left. But there's a huge section of the political left that is the like 2A left. And I frankly found it a little bit embarrassing how many of y'all have been blustering about like, oh, the minute they start this fashy shit, they're going to see what it's like to activate the 2A left. Like, okay. But it does actually bring up this whole question about whether or not exercising your Second Amendment rights are really important right now, and where that falls under the auspices of nonviolent discipline. Because I think the Second Amendment is really necessary and really important. I am somebody who is a supporter of the Second Amendment conceptually, not necessarily the way it's been interpreted by the courts, but whatever. Okay, so what we're seeing right now is just a full-on fucking freak out from MAGA and the Republicans, because they're discovering that actually, wait a minute, maybe ICE's lawlessness and reign of terror is causing people on the political left to embrace their Second Amendment rights. The folks on the political right, they thought that they owned 2A, right? That's like a big part of their identity, like trucks and these. But surprise, motherfucker, 2A is a core part of the identity of an awful lot of Americans across the political spectrum. And I've seen a lot of people talking the last several days, last several weeks about the Black Panthers in particular.
Won't no ICE agent ever run up on me. I guarantee you they won't. I'll put a hole in their chest the size of a window. Safe line repair, safe line replace. That's what's going to happen. They touch me. Unarmed woman was killed by ICE. If you think you're about to come and brutalize the people while we're standing here, fuck around and find out. Our interactions with the police and ICE, and we hold them accountable. We patrol the community and we hold them accountable. The Black Panther Party for self-defense, we're the same Panther Party from back in the day, but we're a little more aggressive now, you dig? Carry bigger guns and we don't take no shit. Places where there are a lot of immigrants at, I think that the community around them needs to take special care to them and it needs to start escorting them to and from everywhere to make sure that they're safe. Because them ICE agents ain't going to act like that if it's a bunch of people standing outside with assault rifles and shotguns. It's a semi-automatic shotgun. That means them shotgun shells that shoot out of a pump, they shoot them rapidly. If you are going to legally arm yourself with something bigger than what they got. Those who serve in the public, they should be fearful of the public. They should be fearful that the public's going to be dissatisfied with their job that they're doing, not feeling like they're tyrants, not feeling like they're bullies because they got guns and body armor and walkie-talkies. That makes them immune to whatever the people would do. I think you want to correct the ideology of the pig and the mentality of the slave catcher. You meet them with equal force. All power to the motherfucking people. No power to the pig.
Okay, I want to stop there and just get your thoughts.
They killed Huey P. Newton for less, and I'll leave that alone.
All
Allegedly.
power to the motherfucking people. I agree. Safe line repair, safe line replace.
That was funny.
Black Panthers. Black
Live long
Panthers.
and prosper.
If you know your history of the Black Panthers, you know, they were a benevolent organization. Started out here in Oakland, California, you know, to feed the children and to, you know, to help people out. But they also stood 10 toes down in defending their community. But they did it legally. That's not a lot of brothers on the street carrying illegal firearms. They have all their legal stuff in place. And so if that has to be a picture that might make you pause, take a breath before you do something violent towards someone, I'm all for it.
I need some of them down here in Texas. I'm not feeling quite safe right now.
Everybody's strapped in Texas.
Yeah. I think there should be a regimen of them in every state right now, to be honest with you, in every big city and every state.
Anybody else?
It's just so much to lose. People lost their life, and everybody, you know, it shouldn't be a big ask, but it is a big ask. And but you never know. Look into it.
It's about to go down. That's all I got to say. When you got the Black Panthers standing 10 toes down, it's about to go down.
We need Malcolm M or somebody, though. We might not get an X, can we get a Y in the house? Is there a Malcolm
These
Y
young
available?
men, they're not playing. They are standing on business, and we need to understand that. So, Trump, you might want to rethink it. You might want to rethink it.
That's what he wants, though, isn't it?
He wants martial law, and I don't want us to get to that point, but I do want people to feel like there's someone out there protecting them, and it's
correct.
Black men with guns to scare ICE. That's what we need, because no one else is doing anything. The police are crying about being pulled over by ICE. They're not protecting the people in Minneapolis and St. Paul.
That's what I said yesterday.
Yes, you did.
And you know it's bad when the police officers are getting pulled over and they trying to show their badge and they getting their phones slapped out of their hands. I mean, come on.
When the Black Panthers were in Chicago when I was growing up, didn't nobody mess with them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I carry my papers with me because I ain't got time to be detained, but that don't mean they won't detain me.
But they don't care about your papers.
I have a foreign last name, and it's very complicated, and so I get nervous about it, so I start carrying stuff with me in the vicinity, not in my purse necessarily, but somewhere where it can be obtained.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had somebody ask me the other day, well, where you from? I said, Indiana. They said, before that, Indiana.
Hearing people say that, it's funny. There was a commercial or a film or something about little short about that.
Yeah, and I always turn it around on them and say, well, where are you from?
Okay.
Exactly.
Where are you from?
Or I start saying, what's your mama name? Or who you came with?
Yeah,
is
before
that your
that.
answer? Your mama half brain dead. Okay, I'm done.
No.
Okay, so good conversations today, things to think about. We all agree things are escalating. So good
if you see good trouble, get into that. Get in it. Put your feet in it. Drop with it. Lean with it. Rock with it. Yeah. All that.
Anytime.
Go ahead, Andrea.
Anytime you see a young lady shot at 3 times right in her face, we were in trouble then.
Yeah.
Right.
And with no consequences
And with
after the
no
fact.
consequences.
Right.
And
No, no justice.
there's new reporting now that she was alive for 8 minutes.
Oh,
8 minutes when they were denying that doctor access to her.
No
She
justice,
could
no
have
peace.
possibly been saved. She was murdered by ICE, just
Oh, yeah.
plain and simple. She was murdered.
Yeah.
And Trump didn't care nothing about her.
No.
No,
You don't care about
none of them do.
He made her death about him, talking about how her parents were Trump supporters. That was a
They
terrible
make mistakes. They make mistakes.
He put out yesterday, I hope her father still supports me.
Oh my gosh.
Are you stupid? Something wrong with him. That's why they need to get him out of office. Something wrong with him. Him and his
Sociopathy.
entire cabinet. Article 2, Section 4.
Love that. All right, ladies, let's move on now to August on the Move and see what August has for us today.
Hey, you guys talked about Trump. Well, let's take it over to his reaction. Not sure if everybody was aware of this, but let's hear what they have to say.
The attempts to even explain away the president's incivility is hardly even existent at this point. I mean, this isn't even what parents teach kids. This is just basic empathy. This is just basic decency for fellow mankind. And yet what you have seen here from the president of the United States is not a first. We watched him not comment on the assassination of Melissa Hortman when a gunman killed a police officer down in Georgia after he fired 180 shots at CDC headquarters. The president of the United States was silent. When Marjorie Taylor Greene had threats to her in November, after she began criticizing him, he completely disregarded it. When his own vice president, Mike Pence, back on January 6th, was in harm's way as thousands attacked the Capitol, he didn't even check in on his vice president. There was no commentary a month ago when Dick Cheney died. He did not attend his funeral. And so for the president, this is just a repeated lack of empathy and disregard for others' well-being, their safety, and humanity.
The way that you put that list together, and it's not even a complete one, but it shows this clear pattern of, if not cruelty, then just callousness. And I wonder then when you look at the way that the president governs, how that applies to the way that he thinks about policy making or who to help, who to hurt. I mean, we saw it a little bit during the government shutdown, taking away SNAP benefits, saying they couldn't tap an emergency fund that was very much needed for something like this, making sure folks could just access food while the government was in a shutdown posture, because it's more than just words and a lack of moral clarity from the top. There's an impact to it.
You bring up a really good point there. It is imperative that as a public, that the decisions of this president, domestic and international, be viewed through the lens in which he very clearly, in those statements yesterday, told us to take them, right? He was somebody that, right, at Charlie Kirk's memorial in front of 90,000 people in Arizona and millions more watching online, right after Erica Kirk called and said that she forgave the shooter, the man who killed her husband. Donald Trump got up on stage and said that he's not that good of a man. He hates his opponents and he does not wish them well. And so when you're looking at domestic policy, whether it be cuts to SNAP benefits, cuts to the federal workforce, cuts to Medicaid, I think that the president has provided very vocally and very clearly a lack of regard for difficult experiences that Americans and others go through. And I think that his comments yesterday go far beyond Rob Reiner. Just the attempts to even explain away the president's incivility is hardly even existent at this point. I mean, this.
So I'm going to stop it right there. Talk back to me, guys. Did they get it right?
Known this. Yeah, we've known this.
He's embarrassing.
Doesn't care about anybody but himself.
We might know about it, but not everybody might know about it. Let me hear what my roving reporter out there, Jazzy, has to say.
I saw a video of a young kid crying to his mom because another classmate told him Trump is going to deport his family and send him back to where he came from. It broke my heart. It does. It does. And then when ICE, you know, abducts people, parents, and leaves, I think it was a 6-year-old
Yes, it
roaming
was.
around in a parking lot. What the
Mm-hmm.
hell?
I don't understand how they get away with. I mean, I know, but there's common decency. We have mores, folkways. We have these things in place, our norms, and we are violating our norms. And it seems like everybody's like looking at it, but they don't know exactly what to do. And then those that are doing, the rest of them, you looking back, and they're like, they're in that still in that fight or flight mode. They don't know quite how to react to all of it, but we have to react and we have to look.
Well, it's like I'm sorry, I guess the Dolly oops. People are just cruel anymore. So right. I mean, there's just pure hate in this country, extreme. I don't know.
I think it's fear.
Fear.
I think it's fear disguised as hate because I have to hate people because I'm fearful of my future. And so it's a self-preservation, but what they don't realize is we all in the same boat, sinking at the same time.
Yeah.
It is fear, and what they fear is if any brown and black people take charge, too many of them, we're going to treat them like they treated us. But we're not that heartless.
Well, real quickly, I just want to finish up my segment with Trump losing. I know Andrea brought it to your attention, but here's some more evidence.
Absolutely losing it, as even Republicans are right now threatening him with impeachment. A Republican Congress member from Nebraska, Congressmember Don Bacon, says that if Donald Trump dare invade Greenland, that Donald Trump will be immediately impeached. And he said that there would be massive Republican support to impeach Donald Trump. And Donald Trump's been getting bad news all of last night and into the morning, and he's not handling it well. I mean, the polling data for Donald Trump is absolutely atrocious. Is Donald Trump too old to be the president? The latest YouGov poll, 49% of Americans say yes, he's too old. Only 36% say no. So plus 13 people think that percent say that Donald Trump is too old. Would it be accurate to call America a shining city on the hill today? 60% of Americans say no, only 22% say yes in this YouGov poll. Is Trump changing America for the better or for the worse? Only 34% of Americans say that Donald Trump is changing America for the better. And that 35%, 34% is basically Donald Trump's cult. That number doesn't really move. Maybe it'll get slightly less, but the rest of America, independents and Democrats, can't stand this regime. Let's talk about the net support for Donald Trump's military intervention in Iran. Negative 19%. Cuba, negative 26%. Colombia, negative 29%. Mexico, negative 30%. Greenland, negative 48%. How about the favorability of ICE? Negative 20% right now. In generic ballot polling, Democrats are starting to take a significant lead right now, up 5 in a generic congressional poll. How about the following? Do you support Trump invoking the Insurrection Act in response to protests against ICE? Only 35% of Americans would support that. Overwhelmingly, Americans oppose. The U.S. military operation in Venezuela was illegal or legal. Way more Americans believe it was illegal. 46% illegal, 31% legal. How about this? Do you think America should take control of other countries by force if it serves our interests? 67% say no, 12% say yes. How do Canadians feel about Americans right now? Shout out Maple Midas. Amongst Canadians, right now, America's popularity is net negative 50%. Way to go, Donald. Negative 50% from our once top allies, where that number was, as high as can be. Now it's net negative 50. Now, Donald Trump's doing a bunch of deranged and unhinged things. We talked about his furry party that he was throwing at Mar-a-Lago, the people wearing the dog outfits, really weird behavior. And that follows Donald Trump throwing all of these events, the Great Gatsby parties at Mar-a-Lago, while the American people are suffering, living paycheck to paycheck, paycheck, if they're lucky enough to get a paycheck, psychologically tortured by this regime, having their health care ripped away by this regime that refuses to extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies and then tries to scam Americans into believing they're going to give us cash or something. We'll negotiate the insurance companies ourselves. Yeah, sure, Donald. As Americans can't afford homes, as foreclosure rates right now, really the highest since the Great Recession. I can go on and on and on. Let's talk about.
That was from our Midas Touch. So, how do you feel about what you're hearing?
That's good news. If Republicans are threatening impeachment, finally.
I'll believe it when I see it. They could impeach him in the House, and then the Senate has to convict him. That's a very steep hill at this point to climb. I'll believe it when
they say they had the votes. But he already backed in already. David talking in the background.
They don't have the votes. They don't have the votes. And I'm gonna say this: bacon is bacon. I do it myself, but I don't have thumbs. Bacon, Representative Bacon, put them articles in there. We got to try.
Yeah, actions. I don't want to hear any more speeches. I don't want to.
Right.
I don't want
no more hardly words letters.
No, action. That's all I care about.
I just want to leave is tonight's On the Move with August. Back over to you, Kim.
Thank you, August. That is a beautiful story, and it is heartwarming to see that generation coming up has empathy, right, and thinks about others. Yeah. Beautiful. Gives me hope. All right, everybody, we are over time today. Jazzy, if they don't get him out as soon as possible, he will continue dragging us down this evil path. You're right. We got to get through this. We have to get through to the midterms.
Yep.
That's the focus. Whoever we can support in any election out there, we need to do that. So maybe in some of our future episodes, we'll take a look at who's running and in what districts and what does it look like.
Bickering. Let's just focus on somebody and do what we have to do. We don't have time for the bickering. Let's pick the best candidate and move forward.
Yeah.
Bickering, we got to leave that behind or else we're going to lose again. Focus.
Yep, I agree. All right, everybody. Love you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today and for the conversation. Yeah, we love it. We appreciate you so much. So hang in there. We'll see you on Friday.
We the people unite.